Hello, everyone. For those of you in the room who don't know me, my name is Carlin Bradley, and I am certified that. So I am going to give so first of all, I want to name a whole bunch of things that are happening. One, I think that it is really irresponsible for you as the president to have made the directive for charges to be made and then to shield yourself behind these panelists. It is a lack, that demonstrates a lack of accountability on your part to make folks who had nothing to do with this decision-making process responsible for the mess that you have created. So I want to say that it is a show of your leadership, or lack thereof, to hide behind mostly POCs like that. I also want to say to Nancy, it is interesting that you are saying that you are moderating, but moderating what in the context of what? We live in the United States, as someone mentioned, on stolen land, under white supremacy, in a country that was built on theft, on genocide, on racism, on terrorism, on violence. We already know what the other side is because this institution is built with, there are monuments to the histories that a lot of us have lived and have been traumatized by. So to say that we need to hear from both sides is a way to silence marginalized people because we already know what the dominant narrative is. The dominant narrative is that we do not belong here. The dominant narrative is that it is okay for violent governments and systems and policies and people to terrorize us as people of color. You are being irresponsible by saying that we need to hear both sides when we already know what white supremacy has told us because a lot of us have internalized it. We have seen it from the people who have immigrated here and have assimilated and have talked about the rhetoric of you need to do these things the right way. We already know what both sides, we already know what the other side is. Also,
thank you.
Hold on,
I just want
to wrap up real fast.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Thank you.
I also want to name one other thing. Jeff, please don't get me started on you because I have an email in my inbox about how you talked about.
I'm sorry, but your time is over.
I want to name one last thing because the community has said that it's okay for me. The community has said it's okay for me to finish.
Your time is over.
I just want to say one more thing. We have already.
One more person to speak, please.
May I finish my statement real quick? Thank you. So I just want to say one more thing. We have already, as Madeline has pointed out, also shout out to Madeline for being the only person to be explicit about the truth and not hiding behind double talk. Thank you, President. I appreciate you. We have already had conversations. President Hart created the Diversity Task Force when the list of demands were created by the students, and the university did the same thing. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make committees. We're going to plan. We're going to strategize. We've already done that. That was 4 years ago. We need to move on beyond that. People need to start accepting responsibility for the things that they have done and that they don't know.
Okay, we're on live and we've got to stay on track here. I'm sorry, but thank you very much.
So one of the things that has been interesting as I've gone through this whole process is looking at how we deal with disruption on campus, right? And so one of the things that has been a lot of controversy, I know you watched the video and it's the behavior, however you may take it, right? And so one of the questions that was asked is, was it worthy to be charged criminally, right? And there are different processes that we have on place. We have a lot of people who practice free speech on campus. We all know Brother Deed is here. And so there are different avenues that have been taken to deal with those who are disruptive. Typically, and most of the time, those are dealt with through Student Code of Conduct, through Dean of Students. And those are things that are still handled, right, as a violation of disruption or however you want to call it, but dealt with through the Dean of Students office and are handled internally. In this particular situation, we had the incident handled criminally with UAPD and our criminal justice system. And so I think that is the big point of conversation, the point of discussion, is understanding what does it mean for a woman of color to be charged criminally for speaking out versus someone else on campus speaking out and going through the Student Code of Conduct process. And I think that is the key difference in what we're talking about here today. And so and there's a lot of folks, we can agree to disagree on disruption, but I think the big question is, what was the process taken to handle this disruption? And I think that as student body president, I stand on everyone being treated equally through the system if we're going to go through the system. And so anyone who speaks out and exercises their right should be met with the same process that anyone else, Brother Dean, anyone else on campus goes through.
Okay. Nolan, covered at it?
No. So one thing I do want to clear up about this is that there's been this narrative floating around that, you know, people can't get deported at the U of A campus. And I just want to say directly, I've seen it happen on our campus. Back in 2010, a woman got stopped for a moving violation on Mountain going to Second, right in front of the College of Education. And the ICE agents came after and so to sit there and say that it can't happen here, I'm saying it has happened here. And going to the previous comment about sort of what's appropriate, an appropriate form of protest, it's very easy to be even keel when you're not targeted, when you're not under the threat of your family being separated, when you're not constantly under fear that one wrong step is going to mean that you're going to be forced to go back to a country that you do not know. It's very easy to intellectualize that and to make it so that it's not about the very deep-rooted fear and terror that these people are under on a constant basis. So this whole idea of, well, this is the whole idea that, well, these folks are calm, these folks are rowdy, so therefore one is better than the other. I completely reject that, because all you're doing is completely disregarding any social context and the very real threat that a number of our students and community members and family members are under on a regular basis.
Thank you, Nolan. I don't know that.
What systems are in place or being put in place to protect people with DACA statuses and undocumented statuses?
Before this point, nothing. I'm going to be honest. And as someone who has been a part of a lot of these conversations and interacting with a lot of the folks that are in the crowd, as well as some folks that have already graduated and been a part of a lot of these movements that you're talking about, no. Has the university done what it needed to do to support marginalized students of color? No. Are we going to? I hope so. And I think that this is the first step. I think students who have been a part of other presidencies here know that this probably would have never have happened, right? If we're thinking about who used to be in charge here, probably would have never have happened. And so I know that a lot of people have strong thoughts about Dr. Robbins and some of our senior leaders. They're getting it, right? They're working, right? Am I super proud with how we are and where we are right now? Do I think that the women should have been charged criminally? No, right? But we have to acknowledge the fact of, if I would have talked to myself as a freshman, and when the list of demands first came out and all of the things that were happening, I would have told you that this would have been far between of what would have happened today. Never would have happened, because there's a lot of thoughts about administration just turning a blind eye to students of color and students who are marginalized on this campus, faculty, staff included. I'm talking about students, but I mean everybody. And so I think that this is a step in the right direction. Have we gotten it right? No. And I will acknowledge that and own that as a representative of the university and as a student government representative. We have failed, period. But will we work to get better? Yes. Do I have faith in the folks that are sitting next to me? I'm graduating in a few weeks, but the folks sitting next to me, right? But do I have faith in the folks that are standing up here with me to do the right work? Do I know that there's still students on campus that are fighting the good fight? Yes. Do I think that we are going to get there? I do. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it.